Alright, I just want to show you what it looks like on a Singaporean morning. So we're just walking around, we've got some people coming in, and this is what it looks like over here. We have a playground. I'm just taking the stairs, and I'm in a residential neighborhood. And so what does it look like in Singapore at about 9:30 a.m. on a weekday? So we've got a place for people to sit and so on and so forth. A lot of times somebody will come here, there will be a cat over here as well. That's actually a big issue here because you're not allowed as of today to have a cat in your building. You're allowed to have one dog, and that's under strict rules. But not a cat. And that's actually an issue in the presidential election coming up. The good thing about Singapore is whenever they have problems, they tend to fix it within these residential complexes. And so about last year, this place was actually dangerous. There were wooden boards. And so they took out the wooden boards and they replaced it with very, very safe materials. So Singapore has a lot of expertise in building what you might call housing projects in the United States. And so this is something that Singapore, I'm not sure whether or not it's been able to export this kind of building expertise, but it's interesting what they choose to upgrade, because obviously, this could use a paint job, right? But they haven't upgraded that. So it's interesting to see whether or not, if you're dealing with a safety issue, that tends to get fixed fairly quickly. If you're not dealing with a safety issue, then perhaps it takes a little bit longer. So we also have another gym section over here. This is the car park over here as well. The other thing you want to look at is demographics. When you're building these sorts of issues, who are the people that are out and about on a weekday morning, and what are they doing? And so you have some people who are sort of comfortably, just sitting down and talking, who are of an older demographic. I saw a couple of young people just come by earlier, and that's good. You see a mix of people coming in. Although, like I said, it does seem a bit, hard to have a playground and not to have young children playing there on a regular basis. So the other thing with Singapore is diversity. They have to have a mandate, and the Prime Minister Wong just reaffirmed that mandate for diversity. So you'll notice that there is a what I believe to be a Malay Muslim back there, and so each of these complexes is not allowed to be purely, say, Chinese, purely Malay, or purely Indian, or purely Tamil. And so the idea recently, again, what was reaffirmed, the policy by LKY, was you don't want to have ethnic enclaves. You do want to have a diverse situation, and you have to do something. You have to regulate in order to prevent essentially a racial ghetto from forming. Although ghetto is something that's not really applicable to Singapore, because if you wanted to talk about a ghetto, this would actually be the closest thing that you could get to it. You don't have a lot of economic activity here. You've got a very quiet neighborhood. A lot of people who may not necessarily be actively working. This would be similar, or as close as you can get to, quote unquote, a ghetto in Singapore. And as you can see, as I've said before, yeah, it's a little bit dirty. This is not a rich neighborhood. I did see some graffiti, so there you go. Looks like somebody was trying to do something a little bit naughty over there. But again, as I've said before, any country, would love to have this neighborhood qualify as one of the less affluent places or areas. And again, the ruling party knows that this place needs some TLC. You can see some trash over here, some trash on top of there as well. Looks like somebody had a bit of a laundry hanging mishap. But again, the ruling party, they all know this. There's been construction going on here for quite some time. There's a bus stop that's right over here as well. And so you are dealing with, incremental improvements that will make this neighborhood hopefully become more and more popular over time.